up to 1982 already. Hey, that's good. 82 team, a lot of people say, was the best team ever. College team in men's volleyball. Volleyball magazine said that. They asked some coaches. Karch was the MVP for the second year. We had a transfer student come from Ball State. I didn't even know he was in school. Named Dave Mahalski, got in on his own. And he had 1 year of eligibility left. So I asked him to start a middle blocker, Steve Golnet, to sit out a year, redshirt until the next year. So Steve could play. It turned out he was an outstanding middle blocker. And so everybody says, well, not everybody, but some other coaches say, well, why do you keep 30 people in your gym? You know, why do you keep 3 courts going? Well, we have a lot of coaches. We have 3 great coaches usually. Well, no, I'm not great. I have 2 great assistants, and usually a volunteer coach, sometimes a graduate assistant coach. So we've got plenty of coaches. And what are we going to do with these guys if we cut them? Where are they going to go? You know, nowhere. Maybe now we have a club team that can play on. I got my manager, and he was MVP in the club tournament. Well, he was a player first, became my manager, and made MVP in the club team. So that was nice. But in those days, you didn't have any club team. So I kept a ton of people. Well, there was a boy named Mark Kinnison who came in our program and was a middle blocker for 4 years behind the blue curtain and learned how to pass the ball. In the 5th year, he started every game for us. And we went undefeated the 5th year. That's why we keep 30 guys. He was one of those guys that if we were getting down to 20, he would have been gone. So it happens from time to time. Well, in 1983, excuse me, 1983, we had a guy, Ryu Sunahara, that hit 362 outside hitter, becoming one of the best outside hitters in the country. And he was really something. The Flying Hawaiian, he was all-state basketball and baseball and volleyball from Hilo, Hawaii. And then Steve Golnet came back from Wachowski. Doug Partee was starting again 3rd year. I brought in middle blockers and taught them how to set because I liked a great blocker in area 2. So we brought in Andy Klusman, who was a great blocker. And he set, remember we had a simple offense. We were just setting 3 plays. And so he was a shutdown blocker, Andy Klusman. We had Roger Clark, who had a nasty jump serve, one of the few guys at that time. We played Poly Pavilion, and Dave Saunders would get back to the stands and serve a high float as hard as he could with the air conditioning on. That was quite effective. Roger had that jump serve. You know, guys can hit, like Clay Stanley, I timed him once at 84 miles an hour. I didn't have a speed gun back then, but Roger could really bring it. I guess maybe high 70s. So we had a pretty good team again, and Karch stayed there, graduated, so he was a graduate assistant coach. And my daughter was a statistician. That was fun. And we had a good squad. So when Karch left to go to the national team, we were ranked 26th in the country. I mean, in the world. And then we won the gold medal in '84 when Karch and Dave Saunders and Kurai and Timmons from SC went over Dusty DeVore. So all of a sudden, USA got real good. We had a great coach too, Doug Beal. Now, how he convinced those guys to go practice at Balboa Park, relocate, stay in an apartment with 4 guys, sleep on the floor and not get paid. That was genius, whatever he did. I don't know how he did it, but he kept together. And they were pretty destitute, but they did it. Karch's value went up. By the time he went to Italy, it was reported he made $1 million in '88. But the first player to play in Italy was a guy named Karch. And Karch was very disenchanted with the U.S. team and went to play in Italy back in '75 and '76. He was a legend. He became a quadriplegic in '76, but I've already spoken about him before. He was the first one, and he was a UCLA player also. So in '83, we started out, we lost 3 of the first 6 conference games. Lost to Pepperdine 2 out of 3 times. But by the time we got to the NCAA finals, Gio had spliced together enough of those tapes, so now we could splice together 4 or 5 tapes. We had great scouting reports. We held them to 0.99 hitting in the NCAA finals and being 3 straight. Ricky Luty's injured his knee in Hawaii on a Saturday night. And my assistant coach, Denny Klein, was either married or engaged to Dr. Robert Curlin's daughter, who was the premier sports doctor in town for the Lakers, the Rams, and so Denny, when we got off the plane, took him over. Robert Curlin said, "You need an operation." I called Dr. Feinerman at home, head of orthopedic surgery. Monday morning he was operated on. And 3 weeks later, he was playing the NCAA finals, and it was awesome. So that was an interesting thing. He had 13 kills and 16 swings in the NCAA finals. We're still using the 6-2 with the setter sets and hits in the front row. That was a little modified depending on the personnel. For example, when Karch was in the program, when he was in the front row, we would have somebody stand in the back that couldn't pass, like one of our middle blockers. And they would step off the court, and Karch would just move back and pass the ball on the inline. Then he'd come up and run and hit an X and fake X. And this was, nobody was doing that, so everybody was surprised that somebody could run from the back line to the front line and hit. But we finally switched in '87 to a 5.